Howdy, folks. Your host, Double J, back here, host of Operation GCD, and not the vice president. Welcome back for another Fridaze, along with my co-host, Nick, host of the Occult Rejects. Nick, how you doing, sir?
What's going on, sir? How are you?
I'm doing quite well, actually. Appreciate it. How you doing?
Not too bad. Not too bad. It's Friday.
It's a Fridaze, and we got guest BT Wallace, host of Truth and Shadow podcast. Greetings, sir. How you doing?
Doing well.
A fine Scotsman wearing a fine hat. How are you doing this evening, besides doing well? What's going on in Oregon land?
Man, over here in Oregon land, there's probably a whole lot of weird and crazy conspiracy things going on. I mean, it's Democrat land, everything's blue, but, some of us are still holding on.
You ain't kidding. I got lost in a Oregon-related rabbit hole earlier this week.
Sweet. Tell me about that.
What? Well, I will absolutely. What besides me stuttering here? What's new at the Truth and Shadow podcast?
Man, Truth and Shadow. We've been doing deep dives from conspiracy to psychological things all the way into theology. So we're doing some pretty deep things going in and looking at different meanings and stuff. I got some great shows coming up in the pipeline. Stuff from JFK to talking about depth psychology and Jungian shadow work.
Nice. What specifically JFK related are we talking about? You were briefly mentioning this here before the show, but
yeah, I interviewed a couple of guys. I interviewed a couple of guys who wrote an article about a van, a Lennon cleaning van that was parked on the corner of Elm and Houston, and it had some interesting ties between the owner of said company and Oswald.
Nice. And that's coming out soon?
It'll be about a month, yeah.
Nice. Yeah, when you mentioned van, I was like, I know some vans.
I know a Vance.
Yeah. Well, I know some Vances as well, but I know this van right here, which I was describing to you relative to a guy who's been driving around America for 40 years, declaring, probably 40 plus now, declaring that Stephen King is the actual assassin of John Lennon, not Mark David Chapman.
Man.
Yep. Figured it out.
What's that, Nick?
I figured it out.
He said he solved it. As you can see, his name's Stephen Lightfoot. He'll give you a pamphlet if you meet him. I believe he's still alive. He's got a website. He's got some books on the topic. He's been driving this. He litters his van with his messages. He's got newer models. This is obviously the OG. But he really wants to let you know that it was definitely Stephen King. What Stephen King says about this, I don't know that he's ever made a comment. But when you mentioned Lennon van, I was like, I know a Lennon van. Right. A John Lennon van.
Right. So this guy basically, I'm sorry, I'm just questioning.
No, go ahead. I was going to say, what's your all's thoughts on the Lennon assassination? I mean, it does seem like it could, when you have the JFK situation, you have multiple Oswalds, right? You have the double Oswalds. It's a operation, right?
Right. Yeah. See, I'm wondering, are they saying that, what was his name? Mark Chapman was basically a patsy for King?
Yeah, I think to be honest with you, I've tried to read the guy's pamphlet and website, and he's not doesn't provide a cogent argument necessarily, but right. I believe what he's getting at is, yes, what you just described.
Okay.
We can look at, we can answer that question right now and see what Stephen Lightfoot's conclusion. And we got new developments here in section 8. Mm-hmm. Oh, Stephen King's letters to me. Okay. Apparently I'm not up to speed. Stephen King is well aware of these and has been for some time. That one's dated 97. Well, I imagine he's not happy about it, right? In late July of 1984, I received this letter signed Dennis C. Lee. Amazingly, it seems to be the same handwriting as Stephen King's letter to me in September of 92. The first letter is a threat letter and an admission of his guilt. I don't. For some reason, I suspect that's not accurate.
Right.
The killer's face and true identity. Let's see what this one says. Here we go. We got some pictures here. I mean, the two bear a resemblance to one another at the time, right? You got Mark David Chapman here. You got Stephen King here. Now, I believe Chapman had some Scientology connections just prior to the incident, if you will.
Oh, there you go.
So I've always found that odd. And apparently he's got, to be quite honest with you, I probably need to learn more about the details behind Mark David Chapman, because now that I'm reading this stuff here, there's some LSD test references here in this article from, I don't know, are they talking about Stephen King, Charlie's Napalm? What are your thoughts, Nick?
That Stephen King did it? I don't know about that. I do find that was weird because the whole Catcher in the Rye is associated with that assassination.
Yeah. Right? Didn't you just do a show about that with the old William Ramsey? Didn't you all discuss that?
Oh, no. He was going to come on. I forgot. Yeah. We talked about it, but I never had him on.
Gotcha. They're talking about Stephen King writing books about hypnosis, telekinetic powers and LSD stuff. Okay, I got it. Oh, a Firestarter. I never seen that one. Okay. Yeah, I mean, I think there's a lot of weird stuff around the whole situation here. This is John Lennon here in this picture, and apparently this is the autograph he's giving to Mark David Chapman hours prior to the murder. They're in front of the Dakota building, right? The Dakota building there next to Central Park there in Manhattan, Parkside, if you will. The interesting part about that is that's where old Bob Cocaine Evans, Roman Polanski, their old Process fellas, did their Rosemary's Baby film, was filmed there. And Bob was on set every day, allegedly, for that, or at least frequently, along with Charles Bluedhorn, very Nazi-like fellow that employed Bob as the head of Paramount Pictures. Much of the storyline of Michael Corleone and Godfather 3 is actually the real-life details of Charles Bluedhorn, relative to Vatican banking scandals, real estate deals with the Vatican, etc., as depicted in that film. So that's always been odd to me. But yeah, the Dakota building, right? So that's where Lennon gets killed, is in front of the Dakota building. And again, that's where I've always thought that's strange. That's just, I don't know, speaking to these, places that have certain energies or whatnot, like what I infer that goes on in and around mound sites. I don't know. I've never really done the research. That could very well be a mound site. There was a lot of mound sites in that area for sure. Mainly the shell mound sites. Do y'all have any of those out in Oregon? You ever seen them out there?
No, we don't have it.
Nope.
No, the indigenous
I think most have been destroyed.
Didn't do that. Yeah, well, the indigenous out here were nomadic. They didn't have any place where they set down anchors and were somewhere buried stuff. They were different.
Maybe the recent indigenous, but these shell midden mounds were thousands of years old, just like the Adena mounds of the east. We don't really know who built them.
Right.
But yeah, the mouth of the Columbia was littered with them there on the north side of Oregon.
That I would assume they've been dug up and destroyed.
Yeah, I mean, I tracked a lot of the records. Most of them were destroyed there in the late 1800s, early 1900s during the various gold rushes of the Northwest, especially around the Seattle region. Pike's Place Market, that's built on a shell midden mound site.
Okay.
Up there in Seattle.
Wow.
Where the coffee folks started their coffee company with the logo of the Babylonian fish goddess, right, Nick? Is that what that is?
Say it again. Which one?
Starbucks.
Oh yeah, you know what? I honestly think that could be a playoff of a few of them. Like I even had Nick's on my show at one point. Even cover I think it was Mussolini, and like my opinion, she gave a good case that it could be even that goddess, and like I'd never heard of that one until she brought it to my attention. I don't know who, but it's definitely, I think, some sort of goddess from back in the day. I don't think it was something new. It's a playoff of something old.
What was the one you just named besides the Babylonian fish goddess?
I think it was Mussolini. MESU.
Yeah, two-tailed mermaid.
Can you spell that again? MUS.
MESULINE, I think.
MELUSINE.
Oh,
okay. Methuselah. I got it.
Methuselah.
Let me look.
Samsonite. There we go. I was way off.
It's got a tie-in with alchemy, I guess, and some occult
This is the
symbolism.
thing?
Esoteric.
Let me
That's
see.
it right there. Yes.
Yeah.
European stuff, huh? Not Babylonian stuff, eh? Oh, this is a much later deity, huh? The Limburg-Luxembourg dynasty, the House of Anjou and their descendants, the House of Plantagenet, which is, every U.S. president, basically, and the French House of Lusignan, I don't know how to pronounce that, and for shorter periods of time, Jerusalem folks there are said in folk tales and medieval literature to be descended from Methuselah. Whatever, what are we calling this thing? Melusine. Melusine.
Oh, Melusine.
Melusine, according to the phonetic pronunciation there.
Yeah, I forgot how she said it.
The story combines several major legendary themes. There you go, Nick, such as something with an N, water nymph or mermaid. There we go, with fish goddess, I guess. The earth being the genus or guardian spirit of a location, the succubus who comes from the diabolical world to unite carnally with a man, or the banshees or harbinger of death. Well, she's got a lot of skill sets. She's very prolific, this goddess.
Skill sets. She's got a decent resume, right?
She's out there doing things.
Yeah.
No, but what you're saying is they mash together different ones. That makes a lot of sense. I could see the Starbucks people doing that too, right?
Right.
But yeah, that's a Midden Mound site. So that mound site or that location, for whatever reason, I don't know why, but y'all are familiar with the Heaven's Gate cult?
Yes.
Right.
They put on the purple robes, the black Nikes, and they all hopped a ride on to Haley Bob Comet.
Yeah.
So they actually, the first thing Marshall Applewhite, the leader, did, and his nurse from the mental institution he left in Texas, that's who started that cult, was Homeboy and his mental institution nurse. They went up there. I think we talked about this last time we were on here, BT, about 5-6 weeks ago here when you joined us for a previous Fridaze. They recruited out of that small Oregon town, right? They went up. They left Texas, went to this small Oregon town to recruit from this other cult, the Holy Rollers of Edmund Credfield.
Right.
And Credfield got murdered up in Pike's Place, and later when they renovated the place back in the 80s, the Heaven's Gate cult bought the brick. You could purchase a brick to sponsor the renovations of Pike's Place Market, and they bought the brick on the site where Edmund Credfield was murdered. The guy who started the cult that they comprised their cult with. The core original members of the Heaven's Gate cult, besides Applewhite and his nurse, were the descendants of this cult, the Holy Rollers of Edmund Credfield. They were a ritual sex, holy roller, I guess, is the terminology describing. They were just kind of roll around on the ground, I guess, during their religious ceremonies, is my understanding. So a lot of sex involved. Like, dude was banging everybody. I don't know what other kind of sex, but the leader was definitely, that's why he got murdered. He ran away with one of the dude's daughters in the cult. Banging dude's wife, ran away with his daughter, and that dude was like, I've had enough.
I feel like if you start a cult, you're supposed to be doing some shit like that.
Right. Every cult's kind of a sex cult, right?
Part of the reason why you started it.
Otherwise, you're not a cult, right?
Yeah.
Right.
It's not like a real.
Otherwise, you're a shitty cult leader, right?
It's just a religion.
Yeah. It's supposed to be traumatizing, not helping.
Right.
I think places like that, like Pike's Place, is somehow a very esoteric understanding from a number of groups, right? Not the least of which was the Starbucks folks, or the Heaven's Gate folks. So, what other weird stuff's going on in Oregon these days, or in your regions there, in your research and activities there, BT?
Not a whole lot. I was just actually just thinking about, we were talking about the Heaven's Gate there, and I was out of Waldport, Oregon in the
Waldport.
70s.
Thank you. Yes, Waldport.
Yeah.
Yep.
And I guess there was some pretty crazy occult stuff going on over there. I haven't really dived much into that, but I was just thinking about. Besides Applegate and stuff, but they think the area was on a ley line, and it may have had some kind of esoteric significance. That's why they were there.
Oh, where was it? I never looked at that.
Yeah, Waldport, Oregon. It's on the coast. It's been pretty
bring it
popular,
up.
like New Agers and stuff like that.
Okay, so it does have that reputation then.
Right.
Is that because of the Holy Rollers though, right? Because they were the ones who founded that town, is my understanding.
Yeah, I mean, it could be that. It could be, could be Applegate. I mean, it's people spawn to places just from word of mouth too.
Sure. Well, at the time
there is.
At the time, if I remember correctly, this is nowhere near like Portland. It's nearest to Corvallis, huh? In Eugene.
It's Waldport's on the coast, so it's south of or north of Newport and south of.
Right. Yeah, right there. Yeah, so the Holy Rollers were operating in Corvallis, right? And then they threw them out of town. I think that was 1932, and I believe we'll just look it up. I think they were the ones that founded this town. If not, there was like a fishing town or something beforehand.
Yeah, there's a lot of fishing towns up and down.
Yeah,
especially the ones that are south of the rivers. Yeah,
2,000 people. Yeah, you got a lot of that on that coastline, huh?
Right.
2,000 people today, apparently, or 2010. Here we go. In September of 75, Marshall Applewhite and Bonnie Nettles gave a lecture in Waldport on UFOs, which was attended by roughly 150 people. In the following days, an estimated 20 residents, nearly 1 out of 30 people who lived in the town, abandoned their homes and possessions and joined their group. Heaven's Gate. And an Oregon State Police investigation concluded no laws had been broken. So those 20 people were descendants of the Holy Rollers.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah. My understanding, most of the 150 folks that were in attendance at the Holiday Inn Conference Center they rented out, you know what I mean? Were part of that. We're descendants from that cult. Which again, it's weird. You're going to this obviously off the beaten path town, especially in 1975, right? I mean, it's off the beaten path now, right, BT?
Oh yeah, yeah. You have to be traveling down the Interstate 1 to pass by that.
And the coastline, correct me if I'm wrong, I mean, that's still largely unpopulated, right? The Oregon coastline?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, if we were to compare it to California or anywhere on the East Coast, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, Waldport's got 2,000 people. What's the biggest one? Coos Bay or Astoria? The Goonies?
The Goonies or Newport, yeah.
Oops, sorry about that.
I heard they're making a new Goonies, those sons of bitches.
Yeah, I heard that too.
A new what?
Goonies.
They're remaking, they're remaking Goonies. Josh Brolin's probably rolling over in his grave. I know he's still alive, but Goonies is not the same without the original cast. And they're all old. You can't put them in there now. What are they going to do? The children of the Goonies?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, dude. Astoria's only got 10,000 people. Not very big.
Not really. A lot of our towns in Oregon aren't all that big. I mean, these Portland, Salem, Eugene.
Yeah, it looks like at the time in 1920, before the Holy Rollers moved into town, there was 181 folks in Waldport, and then the next decade they basically doubled that for them. 102% increase by 1930. That was the Holy Rollers that moved into town. So they didn't start it, but they largely took over the town.
Yo, I hope this dude's joking. Someone said that Corey Feldman's recording the soundtrack for the new one.
That's awesome. I hope so, dude. That'd be awesome.
Yeah.
No.
I love it when Corey Feldman thinks he's a musician. It's one of my favorite things in life.
It's definitely entertaining.
It's fair, dude, because he's so serious.
Oh yeah.
His music video for Ascension Millennium, I'm not sure. I realize I know that the title of that song way too easily because I've watched the music video a few thousand times. It's one of the best music videos ever, dude. Because again, he's dead serious. He emulates Michael Jackson throughout the entire film or the entire thing. Sean Astin makes an appearance as his role in the Goonies, handing homeboy a map and an inhaler, right? And then,
okay.
I mean, are you all not familiar with this Corey Feldman classic?
No.
Well,
I've seen.
Let me do you a favor. Let me do you a favor. Let me help you out with that.
Yo, you remember how he scammed so many people out of like them thinking he was going to come out and say some crazy shit and asking for like donations and all that stuff, and he was going to
wasn't that wild, dude? He raised hundreds of thousands of dollars for that release. Yeah. He's done that shit more than once.
Yo, and you know what the funny thing is part of his reasoning for that is to pay for people for protection.
Dude, he's got so much bullshit coming out of his mouth at all times.
You got to pay people to protect you to come out with this stuff. Like, come on, guy.
He's always got so many fucking stories, dude. So many stories.
When I heard that, I was like, oh, you're pathetic.
I was just cruising Twitter, back in the old Twitter days around maybe July of 2017. And I was like, holy shit. Corey Feldman played a rock concert at a AA baseball stadium in Pennsylvania. And there was like 5 people watching it. I was like, what is going on right now, dude? So that was the first time I saw, Corey Feldman as a musician, and got familiarized with this whole act. BT, you're not hip to any of this?
I have none. No, I've never listened to anything by Corey Feldman.
But you're familiar with the legendary Corey Feldman, though, right?
Absolutely not.
Yeah. Yo, Van Harriet said he sold Haim's ass. Horrible.
Oh, he's for sure all the way serious. He's so serious.
Yo, sorry, go ahead.
No, he's lost band members over this. Remember, he did the whole Hugh Hefner thing, right? He had the whole Corey's Angels.
Oh.
Yeah, dude, he's trying to be Hugh Hefner.
Get the fuck out of here.
Yeah, dude. Oh, I've been tracking Corey Feldman, my reality TV. I just watching what Corey Feldman does in life.
Yeah.
That and John Hinckley. Speaking of things, John Hinckley's got himself a Jodie Foster, stand-in. He tweeted. I follow him on Twixter, and I just, I like to retweet I'm one of the few people that retweets his things. Not that I feel bad for the guy. It's more of a bit for me, obviously. But he posted a photograph yesterday of a young lady that he's seemingly hugging with, seemingly calling his gal, and she looks a lot like a young Jodie Foster. Just saying, that's not a good sight. It's not a good look for you, John. Not a good look. Y'all familiar with him stalking Jodie Foster, right?
I've heard. Go ahead.
He claimed he murdered Reagan to impress Jodie Foster.
Yes. I was gonna say, if that's the same person, I have heard of that. Too.
Yeah,
that's fucking. That was a weird one.
Yeah, let me see what I got here. I'll just me describing it doesn't really do it justice.
What are you doing? You still pulling up Feldman or what?
Yeah, I just took a quick detour here because we were talking about the other assassination. I was whenever I talk about Mark David Chapman, I get him and John Hinckley confused my brain hole so much. And I know they're different murderers. I know they're different people. I've actually encountered John Hinckley in public, so I realize they're different people. But yeah, he's got himself me and my dear friend. Looks like a young Jodie Foster, if you ask me. Huh. Not a good look for old John. And as you wish there, Nick and BT, I'm glad I can introduce you to this.
Spiritual gangsters.
You turned Jody gay. Dude, look how much eyeliner he's got here.
Came out of the shower with eyeliner on.
Yeah. This is before all the angels quit.
Sure, there was a 33.
The video is fantastic. You can hear how serious he is.
Like some dude wandering around the house with a smartphone recording it.
Oh, it only gets worse. This is bad, and it only gets worse.
You go to some full on thing downstairs.
There's Sean Astin with his Goonies, man.
Sean Astin said. All right.
Got to throw him the inhaler. Dude, he went full blown Michael Jackson immediately out of bed. Got the
I've seen him try to
jacket.
dance and shit, dude.
Oh wait, just wait.
Oh, maybe this might be
Let him to give the tour of the pool section, and we'll get a Michael Jackson dance off.
Start with the hand.
How tall you think he is? About 5'4", 5'3"? It's a low angle. That's all I'm saying. That's a low camera angle they're hitting him with. That's a Tom Cruise level camera.
Walking around that pool like that, though.
This is great.
Yeah. Yeah, let's do shot.
Jeez, man.
I like how they all had hats on ropes that came down from the ceiling.
Right.
Pretty low budget music video. It's clearly Corey's house, right?
Yeah. Besides Charlie Sheen, I think he had some Michael Jackson in it too.
Dude, who doesn't pick up some fresh eggs made by your chef during the middle of a music video? They spent all their budget on this scene right here. Oh, the band all quit after this music video. The shitty green screen. So what are your thoughts there, gents? Ascension Millennium. The words don't even make sense. You know what I mean? Like, what does that even mean, man?
I mean, it's Corey Feldman.
It's like he had Tourette's of the body. It's just saying.
In the mouth.
Yeah, I wonder if he was medicated. Yeah, I just assume he's medicated. Like Nick said, it's Corey Feldman.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, I raised up a few $100,000 to tell you Charlie Sheen fucked me.
Yeah, he does it every couple of years. He comes up with these scams.
But next to the trailer, right?
Charlie Sheen probably splits the money with him. He's like, let's do it again.
Right? Right? I wouldn't be surprised, right?
Like, he doesn't even do it. They're just like, let's keep going with it.
So if he's in Goonies too, I'm definitely watching. If he's doing the soundtrack, I'm all in.
Oh yeah. He's 53. All those guys are all old. Those kids are all old now.
Yeah. Dude, Brolin's got to be pushing 60.
Right.
He killed it. He killed it in Goonies. Yeah, he's 57.
I mean, they might as well do something. I mean, they're doing another Karate Kid, and they're bringing back dudes. So,
come on. They're out of ideas, man. That's ridiculous.
That's what someone said. Someone said that they're just regurgitating old films.
They've already redone Karate Kid and rehashed it with a girl Karate Kid. They put in that queer Smith kid in there as a Chinaman, and Jackie Chan as a Chinaman.
Yeah, they've got Jackie Chan and whatever that guy's name that played Daniel in the original Karate Kid.
Yeah, dude.
We got to raise a new Karate Kid.
Yeah. Dude, Daniel Russo.
Yeah, that's right.
What's his real name? Ralph Macchio. Yeah, he really didn't have much of a career in Hollywood, did he? He kind of fizzled out.
He disappeared. I think he was just a kid actor and then was gone.
Yeah, but he aged weird.
Who?
Right?
Ralph Macchio, you're saying?
Yeah.
Yeah. He didn't really get old. Kind of just.
If you look at his picture, I mean, he kind of still looks. Yeah, he looks like he's plastic.
That's what I'm saying, dude. I don't think he is. He just aged weird, I think.
Right.
Yo, him and his family owned a fuck ton of laundromats on Long Island.
Oh, the Macchios, huh?
Yeah.
Are they connected? Is that what you're saying?
Maybe it was in Florida. It was one of the two. Like I know my uncle knew, like, for a fact. Like, but I can't remember.
Your uncle did what?
Knew for a fact that they owned it, and I can't remember if it was neither in Florida or New York.
It seems like a good way to launder money through laundromats.
Yeah, actually, and the reason why is my uncle's sister. My uncle's sister went to school with him and was friends with him, but I can't remember now. At one point, they lived in Florida, so I just can't remember which city was in New York or Florida. That's how.
Yeah, but Gary Coleman had that had that little person disorder.
Yeah, he actually had a thing.
Yeah, I seen Ralph Macchio. He was in Beer League with Artie Lang, huh? That was a decent movie, I suppose. Decent movie. I got lost in it earlier this week in a Oregon related rabbit hole because I was I had a Google alert set up, an old Google alert, and for a homicide out of Salem, Oregon.
Okay.
Are you familiar with the city of Salem?
Yeah. Yeah, I was lived there for years.
I've never been there. I've never seen it. What's it like? What are we talking? I know it's near Portland. Is it Portland like?
No, it's not near Portland. Actually, what's really odd is
what's it near?
It's
near a big city, right?
It is the city. It's 42 minutes away from Portland.
Oh, well, that's double. That's what I call near Portland, but I see what you're saying. So it's a whole different environment.
Yeah, and it's no skyscrapers, which nothing's taller than the Capitol building. Yeah, so it's.
So what's the have you visited there? What's their economic situation? Is it a rundown place, or what are we talking here?
No, Salem's not rundown. It's the center of politics in Oregon.
It's the capital?
Yeah, it's the capital of the state.
They do capital stuff there.
Right.
In Monroe County?
Marion.
Marion County? See, there we go. I knew I was close to it.
You're very close. It's hard to see the words on the screen.
But that's what I'm saying. So outside of the capital, though, the industry, there is no industry there, it seems, from what I looked at.
Not really. No,
that is the industry, right?
And, everybody.
Government.
But
it's always scary when government's the industry, right?
Right. Yeah, and either that or you're living there and working in Portland or something.
That's what I was going to ask you. Is it a commuter town for Portland?
Yeah.
Because it's not that big, right? 30,000 people, maybe?
Right.
You got an Enchanted Forest. What's that about? Oh, it's a theme park.
Enchanted Forest is a theme park. It's been there forever.
Yeah? You been there?
Oh, yeah. It's entertaining. I mean, it's pretty much just fairy tale land.
I've never heard of the series Grimm.
Yep. Grimm is a great show. It was filmed in Portland, Oregon.
Okay. How about Portlandia? Was that filmed in Portland, Oregon?
I do believe so.
Wouldn't it be weird if they filmed in like Vancouver, Canada or something?
It'd be completely strange.
Yeah. Well, they filmed the Hatfield and McCoy's TNT miniseries with Kevin Costner and gang. They filmed that in Romania. I was watching. I'm like, that ain't West Virginia. That ain't Logan County, West Virginia. And that's some of my kinfolk in that story. For example, you'll see Big Bad Jim Vance, the quote unquote enforcer of the Hatfield clan. That'd be Devil's Ann's uncle. Devil's Ann's Hatfield, the leader of the Hatfield clan, his uncle. He's allegedly the man who started the feud by killing one of the McCoys. He was a Confederate troop. The McCoy was a Union troop, and they had a dispute in the immediate aftermath of the Civil War there, and he shot Homeboy apparently. So, but anyhow, I was watching that. I was watching that. I don't watch a lot of TV, but I was kind of excited to watch that. Kind of a story of my kinfolk there. And my home there in Logan County, that's where my people hail from there. And so I'm watching, I'm like, well, this isn't West Virginia. I look up the filming location. It was Romania. I'm like, why would you go to Romania to film a story about West Virginia? I mean, You want to talk about a cheaper place to film? I can't imagine Romania is cheaper than West Virginia. You know what I mean? Talking about downtrodden economies, you know. Bill Paxton or Bill Pullman, which one? I don't know. They're the same. They're the same guy, if you ask me. No, so I was looking at Salem. So isn't it odd that it is, you know, that it's the political capital and center of Oregon? There's a lot of crime in that town, man. It's a lot of weird murders in that town.
Oh yeah, yeah. There was one where basically father killed his wife and then his like 3 kids. Yeah, and then they basically tore the building down, and the land somebody bought it and refuses to build on it now.
Oh, I don't know if I saw that one.
That was years upon years ago, probably 10 or 15 years ago by now.
No, I didn't go that far back. I went like 5 years back.
Really interesting story.
In the last 5 years, there's been a lot of weird murder in Salem, and the authorities act very strange about all of it. So, and the reason this is how I got stuck in this rabbit hole. So, and this is why I had a Google alert for any of this nonsense. And early on, you familiar with the Idaho 4 case?
Mm-mm.
Nick's shaking his head like I was asking him. We've done about 14 or 15 hours on the subject on the Occult Rejects. I know you're familiar with it, Nick. We've done even more on my show. We've probably done it collectively, at least me and Nick together, at least 20 hours, I'd say.
Oh, yeah, that is probably true. A lot.
We've had Ron on our Fridays. You and I talked about it on Operation GCD. We've done 7 shows with Ron, right? Collectively there on all 3 of our shows. So, but yeah, so early on in the Idaho 4 case, law enforcement authorities in Idaho, this case they're trying to put on Brian Koberger up there with 4 homicides of college students in the middle of the night back on November 12th, 13th, 2022, right? So law enforcement authorities thumbs up their asses immediately, even though they declared it an isolated targeted attack. Then they're like, yeah, we don't have a clue though. And then days later, they're like, you know what? Let's insert some conspiracy theories from the podium. And then we'll later yell at folks for talking about conspiracy theories relative to this case, while they are declaring they have no suspects and need help from the public to even identify folks later. Slightly longer portion of the tale, but before all that, you know, within 2 weeks of the murder, they're literally on the podium, the law enforcement authorities of Idaho, saying, we're going to compare this murder, this home invasion, stabbings, you know, alleged stabbings, because that's what they're claiming in Idaho, to a home invasion in Salem, Oregon of a couple that did not even fit the mode of operations of this crime whatsoever. But law enforcement authorities in Idaho were like, you know what? We're going to go ahead and compare these and make sure they're not connected. That happened, I believe, in August of 2021, right?
Okay.
And again, Idaho authorities invoked this into their whole situation. And they even later, days after that, would held another press conference and say, you know what? We looked into it, folks. It's clear. It's clear. The people of Salem, Oregon, the authorities out there were like, what the fuck are you talking about? Right.
Right.
So, you know, I flagged the case just to follow it, and there was finally an update on it, right? The family suing, the family of the victims, you know, so August 2021, someone invades this home, you know, late 20s, married couple, early 30s, were the victims. Different MO, very clearly a different MO when the attacker comes in the middle of the night with a knife, but wakes the couple up, and a fight ensues with the man, right? He stabs the wife, murders her, but ends up murdering the husband. But I mean, there was a large fight that ensued, right? And they were very clear about this from moment one. The authorities were, right? So not the same situation in Idaho. There was allegedly no fight that ensued. I don't believe that story, but that is the narrative in which they're spinning. And, you know, a silent crime of quadruple homicide. But why they invoked this in the first place is beyond me, but that's what caused me to focus on this case. So the family of these victims from the August 2021 incident in Salem, which has nothing to do with Idaho. And again, why Idaho authorities decided to play that game is a different story altogether, but it's a real shit show there, BT. You don't need the long and the short of it is there's some gross violations of someone's rights. There's a lack of justice in the situation, and it's going to be a landmark case in the courts.
Is this the one where they're trying to say that it was autism?
Well, the media spun this, and there's such a propaganda machine behind this. What the whole situation, it seems to be an offshoot of an Iran-Contra type environment popping off up there in rural Washington, Idaho. And this Brian Koberger is the fall guy of the environment. when I say Iran-Contra situation, there's literally individuals that were involved in Iran-Contra and the money laundering that are involved in this situation, directly associated with the university president and directly associated and co-owner of a bank that was used for money laundering just north of both campuses, which I allege was the triggering event for the homicides in the first place. So there's literally people from Iran-Contra associated with this stuff. A lot of drug trafficking, it seems, a lot of money laundering, right? A lot of government intrusion, right? When I say Iran-Contra, when the dominoes fell in Iran-Contra, one of the people owning one of the money laundering banks, with the director of which in Miami, Florida, was the U.S. attorney for the Southern District of Florida. So the guy supposed to be enforcing crimes is literally the director of the CIA money laundering bank that's connected. His co-director, and that was F. Lee Bailey, the infamous OJ attorney, amongst Patty Hearst, amongst other cases.
Right.
But it's literally one of these kind of situations that seems to be going on up there in the Pacific, not far from you there in the Pacific Northwest. So distracting folks with other murders, that could be part of that. Don't look over here at all.
Yeah, Moscow, Idaho is quite a ways away from Salem, Oregon.
Right. So why would you even connect the two, right?
Yeah.
It's like 500 miles, right? 600 miles.
Yeah, it's an all-day drive. It's an 8-hour drive. I mean, you're not even... Yeah. So, yeah, it didn't make any sense.
So the family of these victims in Salem, the Google alert I got was the family of these victims in Salem are suing the local government and authorities because it has now been, they didn't name the suspect, which involved in the actual murder out there, but law enforcement. So when Idaho invokes this shit with Salem, I don't think Salem had anything to do with what was going on, because it sounds like they had their suspect the entire time, right? But they were sitting on that information for a different reason. So their suspect committed suicide. The person who apparently committed those crimes through again the bloody scene that existed at the home at the murders in that situation in August of 2021. The assailant apparently bled out a lot there too. Again, it was a bloody scene according to law enforcement. They identified him with DNA to be this fellow that was under the guise of the state at the time, so to speak. He was on probation. He literally, that same month, he just got put on probation for some felonies from earlier that year, and would later get picked up for violating that probation months later and commit suicide instead of going back to court for that probation violation. So they knew who the dude was in the fall of 2021 when he committed suicide. He just got questioned of the crime and committed suicide, right?
Right.
And the state's culpable because they were liable for his activities, in monitoring his activities, because during that time when he was on probation, in the 30 days from when he got, from the agreement, the plea agreement to the sentencing of it, he got pulled over like twice and popped for marijuana with his probation officer. So they were ignoring, like, what, I don't know what else is going on, why they're hiding this, but those are on its surface why, right? But the families, I find it interesting, the family suing them. Whatever went on with comparing that crime to, again, the distant crime to Moscow is beyond me, but it was, thought it was very interesting. But the activities of the Salem authorities caused me to look a little bit deeper in what's, I just ran a search on the murders in the town, right? In the last 5 years. A lot of strange murders, a lot of strange political activity surrounding these murders. I was like, what goes on in Salem, Oregon?
Mofos don't act.
What's that?
People don't know how to act.
I don't know, man. I don't know, dude. It's just, when you have a town that's the only industry is government, and the, what I mean? You don't expect to see all of these kind of activities, right? Like, it's very odd.
Maybe that's the problem.
That's what I was thinking. Right? But it's a conservative town compared to Portland, right, BT?
Yeah, big time.
Because Oregon's largely, well, I mean, I wouldn't say largely red, but there's still a lot of red voters in Oregon, right?
It's mostly red. It's just blue in the the main hub cities: Portland, Eugene, Corvallis, Bend. Basically, wherever we got a massive amount of population, that's usually. But if you look out in the country and, out here in the sticks where we live, everybody votes red.
Yeah, everyone's always worried about protecting the integrities of investigations, especially in that Idaho case, which is just a common like political term, just to say like, oh, well, no, we're worried about the integrity of this investigation. No, we're going to release the JFK documents tomorrow. No, we're going to release the Epstein documents. You know what I mean? Like, you can trust us. It's the same line of nonsense, right? But I just
Right.
have you seen any kind of besides the one strange murder there in Salem or Marion County? Have you seen any strange political intersection with murders in that area?
No, I mean, we had like a case. Oh, I think it was, her name's like Amy Robertson or something like that. She killed her son.
Amy Robertson.
Yeah, she killed her son, and that was way back in like 2017, and I guess they revisited it last year, and so they're going to basically keep her in the Salem mental hospital because she's insane or something.
Well,
a quote unquote.
We want to double check on that. Allegedly, the guy in our introduction the night, Buffalo Jared Revisa, allegedly he's in a mental hospital in Connecticut. However, I can't confirm that.
Yeah, I mean, even today there was like
he could still be out looking for you.
Dude. Well, how about this? When I sent you that photo of the dead chicken, the headless chicken in my driveway the other night, how about this? It wasn't even my immediate thought that was Buffalo Jared until someone had brought it up to me later. And I was like, holy shit, why did I not think of that? You never know, dude. I don't know. I can't rule it out, I suppose.
You just see him one night, like peeking into the window.
Yeah. I walked out of was walking my dog there in IBT, and I just got home a couple hours prior, and I was, sitting in my RV doing, jamming away at the computer. I got out to take my dog for a walk and around the farm, and I don't live anywhere near anybody, dude. Like my nearest neighbor is a good quarter mile. I mean, Nick's been here. I'm in the middle of nowhere.
For sure.
I'm not on the way to anything. You're not like just stopping by here.
No, that is one thing. Yeah, to get to you, that's like you specifically are going that way.
Yeah, dude, you got to come here on purpose. Right?
I even thought that too, because there was something else you were telling me about. I think like somebody like whatever, another story with your property or something. And I was like, yo, in order to come over here, you have to like be coming, like you're coming here in this direction for a reason.
Yeah, it was that cat. Remember that cat? I finally got it. We finally got it at home here just the other day. But someone dropped off a cat here like 3 months ago, like a 3-month-old cat. I'm guessing the age of the cat. It was a tiny cat, but I've been feeding it and giving it shelter for the last 3 months to get it home because it ain't living here. Not that beast. Not in my trailer. Not here. Not now. Not today. You know what I mean? You got to have a litter box in here, dude. We're not doing that. We're not doing that. Abner boy, my dog here, he shits outside. He knows what's going on. He's not trying to shit inside. We're good on that conversation. So I'm not trying to have a cat around here, even though they got along fine. But I don't know how the cat got here. Someone literally would have had to intentionally bring that cat here. Like that cat ain't traveling this far, especially that age.
No.
Yeah. I came home one day. I'm like, the cat comes running out of the barn, next to my trailer. I'm like, why is there a cat? Where did this cat come from? How did this cat get here? And asking the cat, like, how did you get here, cat?
Yeah, your number one suspect's the cat.
Yo, like, just for an old cat, just across the property to get to your place from the next one would be like a fucking mission.
Yeah, dude, it'd be like one of them like old mid 90s, early 90s Disney movies where they voice the animals on a long journey.
Yeah, and it's just like this old cat going.
Right, dude. That's what I'm saying, dude. So when I walked out there tonight, I was like, fucking headless chicken next to my car. What's this about?
You said Nick, oh, what the fuck?
Nick stopped by and gave you headless chicken.
That's what I'm saying, dude. Like, I mean, and I'm very, very cognizant of the fact that an animal may have brought it by, but it wasn't my dog. He was inside the trailer with me, right? I did a bootleg forensic study of the quote unquote crime scene here.
Right.
It was a clean cut. It was a clean cut of the head of this.
It wasn't a raccoon then.
No, it wasn't bit off or nothing, dude. It was a clean cut. It was a clean cut. There you go.
That's something else. There you go.
Yeah, there you go.
Did you shut the chicken's head in your door when you
Dude, Haitian voodoo. That's what I was afraid of. I do live just outside of Little Port-au-Prince, Ohio. Dude, I was like, did the Haitians get here? They're not like the Sudanese. They're not good at the marathons, I don't think, but maybe they made it out this far. The
weasels.
Man,
the weasels. Yeah, I mean, again, it could have been an animal. I mean, I certainly left it out there for an animal to get, and it was gone a few hours later. So,
right.
But again, there was no apparent animal attacks to it. The head appeared to be cleanly cut off. You know, again, unclear, inconclusive.
Vance, the chicken homicide.
No, I don't even. I was reading that. I was like, I don't even know what that.
Honestly,
Yeah,
I
right,
didn't check the gender. I didn't check the gender of the chicken. It may have been a headless cock.
We call them circumcised.
All right. Yeah, someone circumcised that head.
Yep. Yeah.
No, you want to look up something interesting.
It might be the curse of the haunted doll. They were talking about the haunted doll, Robert, on the Occult Rejects last night. I was in the chat. I was like, I'm out. I'm not going to stick around for this conversation.
Yeah, Robert the doll
survived that situation once before. I'm not here to listen to stories about it. I've lived that nightmare.
Yeah, whenever I
might
hear
still
about
be living it, I don't know where this fucking chicken came from. I'll tell you that much.
No, you want to look up something interesting. Back in '89, there was a political murder. Well, I'm going to say it was political murder. This guy was the department head of the Oregon's Department of Corrections, and they think that he was murdered to cover up the corruption.
Okay, well, that sounds like a good reason to murder somebody.
Michael Francke or something like that.
Michael Francke.
Yeah, Frank or NCKE.
Yep. Got him.
Yeah, this guy that
Busted.
this guy that they caught, Gable, Frank Gable was the one that they said killed him, but he'd actually recently been declared innocent back in 2019. But he spent years in prison for it, 30 years.
Nice. No, I was saying nice to the comment here from Tara, talking about still laughing at the picture from last night. The Dragnet did an occult and esoteric review of the film Dragnet on Operation GCD Live here on Wednesday night. So
sweet.
It was good. I enjoyed it. You know, Tara obviously is having a good laugh at it still. So I highly recommend folks check that one out. So maybe not necessarily immediately thought of as an occult, deeply occult or esoterically understood movie, but I would argue I would dispute otherwise. So Michael Francke here, he was murdered under some pretty suspect circumstances. You're saying he was later appointed by then Oregon Governor Neil Goldschmidt. So he came from New Mexico. He's a judge in New Mexico, huh?
Right.
So that seems a bit unorthodox politically speaking, and to move in a guy like that all the way to Oregon, right?
Well, I mean, to be in a completely different job profile too, because it's like you're not going to be part of the bar anymore. I mean, what's going on there?
Right, and he's probably inserting himself in a whole different mafia situation up there, right? Like he's upsetting the local boys, if you will.
Right.
Yeah, I could see that being possible. So it says on January 18th, 1989, his body was discovered outside the department's office building in Salem, Oregon. Right. Shady motherfuckers. An autopsy determined he had been murdered the night before. Here we go. A local petty criminal was eventually tried and convicted for the crime and sentenced to life in prison without parole. However, the convicted killer maintains his innocence, and several conspiracy theories have been advocated, claiming the killing was a murder for hire conducted by corrupt state prison officials threatened by an investigation Francke was conducting into prison management. Oh, well, that's just a silly conspiracy theory. How could anyone possibly believe that?
Right. There aren't no coincidences as far as we're concerned.
No, right. I mean, I appreciate you bringing that to my attention. I'm not at all familiar with that there, BT, but I'm certainly interested in reading more about it, specifically because it happened in Salem, Oregon, that shady fucking place, Salem, Oregon.
Right. Yeah, I mean, the fact the body was, he was killed the night before and then he was discovered in the morning. I mean,
right outside the building too, huh?
Right outside the building where lots of people are coming and going past that building.
You mean to tell me the prison doesn't have? You mean to tell me the prison doesn't have cameras, BT?
No, this is the Department of Corrections building that they're talking about's in downtown Salem.
It's not here where it's pictured.
No, he's standing what looks like next to OSP, Oregon State Penitentiary.
Ah.
Yeah, the building was nowhere near there. So yeah, there would have been, if it was there would have been,
cameras everywhere.
Something to see that. Yeah, CCTV anyways, it's the 80s. So
yeah, they'd have something, right?
Right.
Maybe even some sort of bird, an alert bird, maybe a crow, perhaps. I'm obviously being facetious, but I feel like Oregon's behind the times in technology.
It's what it feels like.
Right. Never been there. That's just been my assessment of the situation. The universe will not let me visit Oregon, BT. I think I've shared that with you before.
You don't want to come out here? Is that what you're saying?
Every time I've tried, dude, something has interceded in my journeys.
That's interesting.
In fact, I got done with work one day. I was doing some business, some Air Force business up in McCord Air Force Base in Tacoma, Washington. Got done early. Intentionally was going to spend the later afternoon and get some dinner down in home of the Goonies in Astoria. They're in Northern Oregon. And as I got down to Vancouver, Washington, across the bridge into Oregon, there was like a 12-car pileup and the whole bridge was shut down. So I gave it an hour and a half and they hadn't really made any progress. So I'm like, well, looks like I'm not going to Oregon today.
That's unfortunate, but that's okay, though. I wouldn't want to deal with that bridge traffic either.
Well, the other instance, I was coming from the other direction in southern Oregon and starting from in and around Chico, California, where a couple of my dudes reside, my old Air Force dudes from many years. We routinely take adventures throughout various parts of primarily California, but at this time we intended to make it up to Oregon. However, driving through the coastline up to Eureka, I discovered the Lost Coast Brewing Company. And this is years ago now, but back when I was still a heavy drinker, and I didn't want to leave that town. It was a really cool town, so we really didn't make it any further north. You know, that's probably about an hour south of the border there on the coastline. Are you familiar with that town, Eureka, California?
I'm not. Is that close to Crescent City?
Yeah, I've never heard of Crescent City. I think that's a city from Star Wars, bud. Did you just make that up?
Crescent something like that.
I've never heard of that. Oh, Crescent. I apologize, sir. That is a real city. That is a real city.
Where Zith came from.
Is that where the Zith Lords originated from?
Crescent City.
Yeah, right. It sounds like it, right? It sounds fictional. Let's see. I don't know. We're that's literally right on the border. Okay. No, not quite that far.
Okay.
Not quite that far.
Oh, I see where Eureka is. Okay.
Yeah. Eureka's right here.
Yeah.
And then, so it's, this is maybe a little bit more than an hour, maybe an hour and a half. Again, I didn't make any further than this. So, I discovered Mount Shasta on the way from Chico to the coastline and a bunch of gigantic trees I'd never seen before. Then I got pulled over doing 110 and a 55 near those gigantic trees. Somehow the cop and I just laughed at each other and I drove off after the brief discussion to slow down. And then I discovered Eureka, California. I was like, Eureka, this place is awesome. Yeah, exactly. Crescent City what's the mayor there, BT? Lando Calrissian?
I don't have no idea. That's awesome.
I would like to make it to Oregon sometime. Definitely not Salem, though.
No, you may get murdered.
Dude, a lot of weird stuff goes on in Salem. I'm not going to lie to you.
It's
sounds like you're well aware of it, though, because this Francke murder already sounds pretty bizarre.
Right. Well, I mean, there's a couple other things. I think there was a firebombing back in the 90s.
Whoa.
That was an interesting story. It had to do with, I think it was lesbians of
lesbian firebombings.
Yeah, it was like, I think they were black or
militant lesbian firebombings.
Yeah, something.
Now you're talking my language. What are we talking about here?
Let's see. Let me Google that one.
Right? Talking about PLM.
I was actually going to talk about. I was about to talk about domestic terrorism bombings. Relative to a different group.
September 26, 1992. Hattie Mae Cohen's.
Hattie Mae Cohen's.
Yeah, it was her, black lesbian, and her friend Brian Mock, a white gay man with an intellectual disability, were killed in a firebombing.
Interesting.
And it was done by some white supremacist skinheads.
Interesting. That's kind of an occult intersection with crime in Oregon. Has there been any satanic crimes you can think of? Not since the 70s, and some serial killer activities. Am I familiar with satanic activity in Oregon? But perhaps you know more than I do. Again, it's it's a foreign land to me, a place I only exist in thought and theory.
I can't. I mean, other than like satanic panic stuff, no, I don't.
Satanic panic stuff. What are we talking here?
I mean, it was. I mean, the satanic panic in the 80s, 90s was pretty much, nationwide, and I think there was some stuff going on in Salem.
Was there some specific incidents that popped off there, perhaps in and around Salem?
Probably nothing I can remember. That would be trying to think of things. I'd have to look it up.
Where's Feral House located?
What is that?
Feral House Publications. Who that? You know them?
No.
No, they're like the official Process Church publisher. Feral House. I believe the owner was a son of a CIA dude, maybe Adam Parfrey. I believe he's since passed. He's real good friends with Boyd Rice and Nicholas Schreck and gang. You know what I mean?
Shrek.
This guy knows what I'm talking about. Right, Nick? Nicholas Schreck?
Yeah. That was oh god, Taylor Swift's lookalike mother. Husband.
Oh yeah, dude, I forgot about that conspiracy theory. You familiar with that one there, BT?
Yo, I mean, I'm not into normally stuff like that, but I do think they do look alike.
Who's this?
I guess he would be. He could be the father in that equation, huh? The conspiracy theory that Taylor Swift is the daughter of Zena LaVey, Anton LaVey's daughter.
Oh, I've heard that. Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised. Be kind of cool, I guess. I mean, from one perspective. But I thought Feral House Publishing was in Washington.
Are they? Okay, I thought they were in Oregon. My mistake there, good sir.
No, I think they're. I don't know where. I thought I heard them in Washington somewhere. You'd have to look that up.
Well, they. I mean, they may have moved also. I believe Parfrey's from Oregon now.
It came from Los Angeles.
Los Angeles.
Yeah.
The City of Angels?
Yeah, the Feral House Publishing.
Yeah, you're right. It's definitely in Port Townsend. That's nowhere near Oregon, is it? Holy smokes, was I off.
Yeah, the symbolism between these two, or the similarities between these two, is really uncanny. But I mean, these days it's like everybody's like related 50-second cousins, you know?
Wait a second. Are you telling me we're related? We're both Scotsmen.
Heck yeah.
I don't think I'm a member of Clan Wallace though.
We're all related by the 50-second cousin.
I was about to say though, your Scots ancestry.
King Alfred. Yeah.
Yeah, they probably intersect for sure. I don't know. That is a pretty uncanny resemblance, right?
Right.
But yeah, Parfrey's in deep with that whole crowd. He, like I said, he was friends with Zena LaVey's husband and her husband there. And the first book they published at Feral House was The Satanic Witch in 1989 by Anton LaVey.
Oh.
But
they published about 17 or so, I believe was my total count. 16 Process Church books.
Okay.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, like the official publication. Again, Parfrey's passed. I have no idea who runs this operation now, but I believe his father was an OSS guy or a CIA dude. Parfrey, y'all familiar with this guy?
From 57 to he'd be CIA.
No, his father. His father was.
His father would have been OSS. Yeah.
I think that's how this. He used to talk about it. I think I heard an interview of him talking about it. I don't know why I thought he lived in Port Townsend. I thought in my brain hole it was Portland, Oregon, but whatever.
As weird stuff happens in Portland, it's fine. I'm okay with you saying that too.
Now I want to know what goes down in Port Townsend.
That's right.
So Nick, Tracy Twyman would have been involved in the same crowd, right? With Boyd Rice, Adam Parfrey, Nicholas Schreck. This is the same crew she would have run with there when she was Boyd Rice's underling.
Yeah, that really is weird.
Right?
Yeah, that's me.
A little shout out to
say
Big T here.
Yo.
I knew of her, and I even admitted it on the Occult Rejects because of her Shriner work on the Shriner.
Sure.
And again, like I even did double check a lot of her stuff, so that's why I did say I kind of got some of my information from it. But
It checked out.
Besides that, I just don't know anything else about her from like things I've heard recently. And it just seems like the people she was associated with and what she was into is very fucking weird.
Right. Dude, she, I mean,
I don't know anything about her. I know a lot of people love that lady. I could care less what her real deal is. It doesn't make a difference.
Right.
To me. Supposedly, she's not here anymore.
Yeah, I'll reserve any sort of opinions or comments other than just discussing my interpretation or my perspective of some of the stuff she and I discussed, right? Some of her work, right? We had communications about, cordial communications. I didn't have any problems with the lady. We didn't see eye to eye on these subjects. There was some stuff we saw, we had agreements on, but when it came to her work on the Knights Templar, we have a very starkly different opinion on things. And again, so what was your take on her Shriner stuff?
I thought for the most point it was on point. There was a few cases that I know that she brought up that I could not find that existed, but there was like at least half of them I did find existed. I made a Pacer account because I wasn't going to bring. Like, she actually was showing, lawsuits or referring back to them. Court record.
There you go.
So I wasn't out of actually reuse that unless I knew I could find them myself, and I had to make a Pacer account for that shit. I found like half of it. Some of them didn't exist. Now I don't know if that's because it's hidden. It's bullshit. I don't know what, but I was able to corroborate at least like half of the shit like that. And there was a few other things that she talked about, that companies that existed, I think in Brazil or wherever it was, that I went and did find proof of, and even found video news footage of them even covering something that she was referring to. So I mean, it was well done, I think, for the most part.
No, and she, like I said, she and I had agreements on some things. Like we both had a very large interest. For BT, do you know who Tracy Twyman is?
No, the name sounds familiar.
She was actually from the Portland area. She was a writer, author. She was a producer of Clyde Lewis's show. Are you familiar with Clyde Lewis?
Yeah.
Producer for his show. She died under some dubious circumstances. Allegedly of suicide in July of 2019. Anyhow, she and I would exchange notes, on the subject of John Podesta and the occult. She was keenly aware of John Podesta being deeply involved in the occult.
Okay.
She would much like myself would stalk John Podesta, through whatever public activities he's doing, right? His schedules, if you will, where he's talking, what he's doing, where he's going, that kind of stalking, not like physical stalking.
Right.
I don't want to go anywhere near that crazy.
Like what we do with the researching conspiracy. Yeah.
If he's going, like, for example, he was strangely talking down in New Zealand in at the same time as that New Zealand shooting in March of 2019. Right? Why was he there? Right? And Tracy Twyman had tracked a connection of something scribbled on the right that was like one of those first person shooter kind of perspectives where the shooter wore a camera or whatever, and you could see his rifle, and he had a symbol on there that she connected to John Podesta.
Wasn't she really big into like Baphomet stuff? Is that who this is?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So she bought in full scale on the Leo something with a T. Tansel? Leo Taxel. The Leo Taxel hoax of the great Leo Taxel hoax of the late 19th century regarding this. Taxel just was reciting stuff the Vatican published about the Templar back when they banished the Templar. Again, when you're going to banish your enemy and steal all their money and wealth, you're not going to say nice things about them. You're like, yeah, these guys are queers and they bang each other, because that's essentially what they say. And then on top of that, they worship this Baphomet statue, right?
Yeah. I did a deep dive. Dr. Heather Lynn wrote a book recently about Baphomet, and we talked about
what do you got?
We talked about that on our show. Well, I mean,
what was the title of the show?
Which episode was that? Let me look that up while
God, Headless asked me to get her on probably, like, no lies, 6 months ago. It was like right around the time I think the book came out, which could be longer. And
this author?
She's like, hippies, she's like, email me. She's like, instead of DMing me here. And I think I totally forgot.
Oh shit, okay.
Yeah.
It happens.
Yeah.
Yeah,
that sounds very interesting.
She was talking about the beginnings and the creation of the Baphomet as an icon and a symbol, and the origins of what's his name? Alphonse Louis Constant. What's his pen name?
Leo Taxel.
No, Alphonse Louis Constant.
Al.
Bill Blasky. I don't know.
Eliphas
I don't know.
Levi. Eliphas Levi. That's it.
Oh, Eliphas Levi. Okay. Yep. Okay.
That's right.
Gotcha.
And so basically, the creation of the image of what we look at Baphomet today was his brainchild. Basically, the image was nothing like that. Was like a goat of Mendes or something like that beforehand.
I have a friend who might come on to do kind of like a history or like a theory of his idea of like maybe where the pentagram ritual came from, and I think he does attribute him to possibly being a big part of it.
Yeah, I was gonna say that's my understanding is he's the creator of the Baphomet situation, and a lot of stuff Crowley borrowed from him, right?
Well, the Baphomet thing.
Crowley thought he was a reincarnation of
right.
I guess that image I would
Eliphas Levi, right?
That Eliphas Levi did, but
no, Crowley thought he was reincarnation, right, of him, right?
Yeah, he did.
So would that make Timothy Leary a reincarnation of Eliphas Levi by proxy because he claimed to be the reincarnation of Crowley? So
right, same soul. Yeah, it was episode 50.
I don't know how the timeline works out there, but that's what he claimed.
David Wilcox fit in there somewhere, saying he's a reincarnation. David Wilcox fit in there somewhere too.
He's the reincarnation of the sleeping prophet guy. Who's that?
Fuck was his name? I know, that's why I brought that up.
Oh man, I can't think of his name either. The sleeping prophet guy.
Oh man, why can't I remember the name?
David Wilcox is he's a Looney Tune. He's a Looney Tune.
Oh, one thing I do want to say about the Baphomet thing though, that image pretty much was like the first one like that, but the idea of Baphomet came before.
Oh yeah, way before.
Even the whole Soviet coagula thing, Heinrich Kuhnrath had that on his version of
Edward Casey.
Way before this guy did.
Yeah,
Edgar Casey.
Edgar Casey. Yes,
that's right.
Have you seen some of
that fucking guy on the show? That's right,
dude. There's a whole like website or YouTube channel dedicated to all this stuff of like tracking David Wilcox's life. All these lies he's been caught in depositions, these police body camera footages that come to his house for these obscure complaints. The dude, I'm telling you, the dude is out there, dude.
The dude should live in Salem, Oregon.
He might be from Salem, Oregon. Shit, I don't know.
There was like some site, I can't remember. It was back in the day. It was like some well-known. It's probably a bullshit site, CIA site. Who knows? But back in the day, I can't remember the name of it. It was like some site that had like all this tons of like conspiracy shit. And David Wilcox ended up like he admitted that it was him, but at first he wasn't acting like it was him. Like he put out something like the helping hand or something like, or the hidden hand, something like weird like that. But it was about like this entity that somebody was supposedly, I think, talking to that was bringing up the law of one.
Oh, I've heard of that stuff. I know what you're talking about.
For him to promote the law of one, but not actually be David Wilcox. And then like eventually he comes out and admits that he did that. And it's like, yo, that guy right there just told you he's bullshitted fucking people.
Yeah, that was his old grift, right?
Yeah, like he even like came out and admit that shit.
Yeah, that somebody was channeling Raw.
Yeah, because he was one of those people that did that Raw shit.
Yeah, that's right.
Like he like basically like he like lived there and earned his keep doing shit just so he could like hang out with them and watch what they did.
Dude, he did a music album. Come on, it's got to be. If he's worse than Feldman, Wilcox should just end it all. I mean, no disrespect. Well, I guess some disrespect.
Yeah, was that?
BT, are you familiar with the antics of one David Wilcox?
I am not.
Oh my god,
that's great.
Yo, BT, are you in your own little bubble of conspiracy?
I am completely in my own little place, man.
This guy actually he didn't realize conspiracies exist. He just thought of his own shit.
No, he's been doing all these grifts, dude, for years. He's like big and he's the guy that's been doing the secret space program for years. The secret space program with the whole 20 and back to Mars. Oh, there. Thank you, Tara. You familiar with that one? The 20 and back?
No. You guys are giving me homework is what you're doing.
Dude, how about the blue avians? I think he invented the blue avian aliens too. Dude, he's been inventing all this shit for years. It's fantastic.
Oh.
Dude, he was on Ancient Aliens. No, I think, yeah, he was on Ancient Aliens, the TV show, too.
Yo, Bedhead Harriet just mentioned fucking Project Camelot. Oh my god, you remember that?
Is that
show?
where he came from? Is that where he came from?
Well, Project Camelot handed us some of the shittiest fucking people that like ended up like spinning like, you know, like almost like the holy grail of ideas and like dead ends answers.
Yeah, that seemed to be the purpose of that project, right?
Yo, oh my god, the stuff that some of the people that they brought forth that handed you like the most ridiculous, like you're living in like a complete comic book matrix world, believing some of those people. It is unreal.
Dude, I'll give you Blue Aliens as an example, right? Blue avian aliens, blue giant birds, dude.
Yeah, Max Spears is another one. That guy's, I don't know, like hasn't that guy actually gotten busted lying?
Max Spears, the other guy that faked his death over some black goo stuff, wasn't that Max Spears?
I know there's like people that was associated with them that Wilcox started running with that eventually I think got busted, like actually lying or came out and admitted that he was.
Yeah, Max Spears, the death of UFO investigator Max Spears caused controversy amongst conspiracists, which led to reports from the BBC News and other news outlets. Yeah, I remember this, dude. I remember this happening because, first of all, it's my birthday. And second of all, I was, remember reading this whole thing because I was like, what, black goo, UFOs? Dude, get the fuck out of here, dude. You know what I mean? Like, that was my reaction.
Was he the one that was also like somehow pointing to like the OTO about shit too?
He claimed to be a super soldier, right? He was part of that whole Project Camelot movement. He was claimed to be a super soldier, like Harriet was saying just there.
There was some guy, Dan something, that was on Project Camelot that like had like some of the people that went on there with some of the stories were like, what?
BT, are you familiar with Project Camelot?
I wish there was a way to actually, because I don't think they're on YouTube. I wish there was a way to like look up all their episodes, and if you went through all their fucking people, you'd be like, yo, everybody be like, yo, half those motherfuckers, if not 3/4 of them, are all considered shady now.
Was that the one that was supposed to be a counterinsurgency?
That's funny.
Guerrilla style interviews.
Yeah, that's funny you say that because apparently the name Project Camelot was the name of an army program. Methods for predicting and influencing social change and internal war potential.
Yeah,
from a counterinsurgency study from 1964. Well, it sounds like this podcasting network may be an example of that project. I've never heard of that project before. Do you know about this?
Oh yeah.
Project Camelot?
I never understood. I was like, yo, why are you picking that name and like a lion with one eye? I'm like, come on.
Really?
As a logo. I mean, I honestly think, my opinion, I think her face got fucked up because she fucks with magic, and she just probably
Carrie
should.
Cassidy.
Yes.
Yeah.
And she was like, oh, you know what? I'll just turn this into gang stalking for a reason to probably suck money out of people's pockets because they feel bad.
That's a good grift, right? It's the Alex Jones grift, right? You scare people, they'll buy your vitamins.
Genius.
You know what's a crazy thing now that's happening?
Dude, they're getting the truth out here, bud. I think you're mistaken about Project Camelot and Carrie Cassidy. It says right here on their website, getting the truth out.
My bad.
All right.
My mistake.
We owe you an apology, Carrie Cassidy.
Yeah.
Dude, I didn't realize she was still doing this. Look, she's everywhere too. On everything.
You know what happened to when her and Bill broke up? Yo, that dude ended up going somewhere like down in South America, and people followed him, thinking that when this 2012 shit was going to happen, the world was going to end, but the area that they were in was going to be safe. That was a cult. This show sprung up a cult where people literally moved down to South America because they believed from them the world was going to fucking be in catastrophe. There's something wrong with that show.
Yeah, well, I mean, like you're saying, it's pushing a lot of these ideas that seem to coincide strangely with this thing you guys were aware of, but I just now learned Project Camelot, right?
Right.
Yeah, they're like, oh, why'd you split up? Why'd you split up? Because that guy just took the hardcore cult members and took them down south to see what the fuck's up.
Dude, it says the project was executed by the Special Operations Research Office at American University. Well, what the fuck do they do? That's there in DC. That's an interesting, I have to read about that place. That's right by Comet Pizza, where your linebacker buddy was hanging out. Nick.
Linebacker, buddy. Oh, fuck.
Yeah.
Pick a number from 1 to 3. I was like,
you stopped to talk to him. Her,
well,
him.
I gave one answer. Then when he started pulling out the calendar, and you were like, "Oh, we got no time."
You bet, dude. You.
Yeah,
they were
kind of. I was like,
out.
"Oh no, he's gonna ask another question."
Yeah. Oh, you get one question. You got a dozen more coming your way. They're hitting. Yeah, that's how they get you. That's the hook.
I was like, I really
on the
thought
sales pitch, right?
like, I thought I was gonna get like the punchline after that.
Oh, dude, to be quite honest with you, that individual is a good 6'4", 260 pounds. It's not a small person. You know what I mean? If it chose to get violent, I mean, there was going to be some violence. I mean, I'm not going to say we would have won.
It was hairier than me too.
They would have won, but it would have been a fight. We had that because it was salty immediately for whatever reason. I saw it coming. I was like, I don't want anything to do with this situation.
You probably have to.
You meet a
fucking machine.
What's that?
That thing he was on. I probably have to
the
beat
scooter.
Him with that. Yeah, I'd have to.
That's what I'm saying, dude. That's what I'm saying, dude. It could have gotten weird because it got salty real quick, dude. Like BT, this may be a common occurrence in Oregon. I don't know if you're in a deeply weird Oregon part, but you may encounter violent linebacker-sized transgendered men. Men dressed as women. When I say men dressed as women, literally just this huge dude with a dress on and a scooter, like no makeup.
He was the guy.
We don't see those here.
He was not hiding.
Nice to meet you. It's ma'am. One of these characters, right?
Hairy legs. Fucking practically
dude,
beard like me. It was
it up. We got Pete Thomas join us here. Looks like he just made it here. Nice to see you there, Pete Thomas.
Out here in the country.
Not encountered that in Oregon. Well, Nick and I encountered that in front of Comet Pizza one day in DC.
Yeah, that's the whole thing too. Of all places, because he's like, because he told me, I was like, you got to take me over there. I got to see this place. We go over there. We park like on the side street. And as soon as we come around, that's like the store right before it. I'm like,
yeah, dude, boom, right in your face.
First thing I see as soon as I turn the corner to head to this place is some 6 foot hairy tranny with a scooter asking me pick a number 1 to 3.
Yeah,
pick a number.
Yeah, I was like 2.
Yeah, Nick played that game
between 1 and 3.
Yeah. He goes like, then it looks like he's pulling out a calendar or some shit, and then JJ's like, literally, he's like, I don't got time for this, or something to that effect.
I just kept cruising, dude. I know better. I've learned my lessons years ago with these environments encounters.
He has he gets on his scooter, does like a.
I was a bit of a country boy moving to DC years ago when I first got stationed there. So when I, there'd be a bum. Like for example, there was a bum that was just behind my apartment every night in the alleyway, just fucking screaming every night, like 2 a.m. I'm like, this motherfucker does this again tonight. You know what I mean? So I'd finally get out of bed, and my back door was my bedroom was right there, and my back patio and my parking spot. So I'd get out there and I'm like, yo, dude, quiet it down. Which obviously I didn't quite realize that just makes him get more bummy about life. Go get some more bum friends. They'll all come yell at you outside your door at 2 a.m. That's what happened. So I literally had to chase these guys out with a gun. And that's what it boiled down to. I just took my pistol out there one night, never saw them again. But you know what I mean? I realized pretty quickly, you can't just ask these bums or tell them to get the fuck out of here. You know what I mean? That's just going to incite more bummery, So I quickly, that was one of my early introductions to the quote unquote city life there in DC. But I used to frequent New York City a lot, and I quickly found out if someone comes up to you on the street up there trying to peddle their wares, you just don't even give them the time of day. Because, dude, I had this guy follow me from Chinatown to Nick knows these reference points at least. Chinatown to north of Houston Street or Houston, depending on where you're from, and that was a solid 8 or 10 blocks, right? Dude's trying to sell me a mixtape the entire time. You know what I mean? After around block 5 or 6, I thought I was going to get stabbed, and eventually around block 8 or 9, I'm like, look, dude, if we're going to go, let's just do this. You're not stabbing me, buddy. It's not happening. You know what I mean? I don't want your mixtape. I don't want to get stabbed. You go that way, I'll go this way. You know what I mean? So when I saw that linebacker in front of Comet Pizza, I'm like, this is not a good, nope. I'm just going to keep cruising. Linebacker address in front of a diddle operation? No, thank you.
Yo, I have a feeling if anything's going on in there, I have a feeling just a theory, that the bar has something to do with it.
Well, here's a theory I had, and maybe you can tell me if this makes any sense to you.
Because that was the only area that looked sketchy, and like even the people behind there actually looked very different than everybody else working there.
Well,
And there was like stickers. There was sticker. It's just you could tell like that. I just have a feeling that person kind of like was the eyes and ears of that whole section area.
They're a lookout.
I just think they're involved with
Mobile
whatever.
Lookout.
It's hard to explain. I think if people were there and saw what I saw, I would say that was the one fishy thing when I was like, because that is like right before you get to the back.
You know,
then there's the bar, and then you go in the back. You know, because I actually went in there and actually threw stickers up of the Occult Rejects in the bathroom, so I saw what it looks like inside.
I like where your head's at, friend. I wasn't even considering Mobile Lookout with a tranny linebacker on a scooter, but that's probably what was going on.
I don't even know about that, but I'm just saying, like, I just feel like that, I don't know, like I don't know, just my opinion. Because I do think that they're also involved with the bands that are coming there and playing there.
Oh, that whole block's a sketchy place, dude. And when you have a band called Sex Stains making jokes about pedophilia with a transgendered, cross-dressing, mask-wearing individual as the lead singer, who is a tenured professor of music at George Washington University there in D.C., well, I got a lot of questions. Heavy breathing. There we go. That's another one I believe was there. Yeah, that whole block's suspect, dude. That whole block's suspect. And again, it's right by that American University where that Project Camelot was run out of, with their special operations office there. Why? It's the Catholic University there, right by Comet Pizza. Literally, like right by it. It's a quarter mile away. The campus is. It's not far at all.
Wow.
Very odd environment with that whole situation. You know, obviously never really been flushed out. But one of the thoughts I had early on was there's no OTO places anywhere around DC, right? Like meeting houses, lodges, etc., right?
I don't know, because you remember I swear, I'm not making this up. Remember I told you I ran into that store, District 93, and I was like, nah, that can't be like associated with the OTO. And I walked in there.
You did tell me about this. Please explain.
Yeah, I walked and I'm like looking at it, I'm like, nah. And I'm like, should I just go in? I'm like, fuck it, what the fuck? Who cares? And I'm like looking at it, I can't even really tell what the hell it was. I think it was a weed vape store, but I didn't even know it was. I couldn't tell.
Mm-hmm.
And I walked in, but it did smell like weed too. So I walked in, and it was just like one black dude standing behind the counter, and he's like, "Oh, what's going on?" I was like, "Oh, I was just checking out the store." And he's like, "Look at me." He's like, "You looking for anything in particular?" And then like two other dudes come from the back. I'm like,
"Yo, you need some help?"
Something to look.
Is that what they did to you?
It was like something beefy with you? Not like that, but it was more of like, what's going on, guy?
Yeah.
And I'm standing there, and I'm like,
you're a New Yorker. You're familiar with that attitude, right?
Yeah.
Help you attitude.
And
move this along, pal.
And in a split second, your mind can go through so many things. And I'm like standing there thinking, I'm like, I don't actually have like an actual reason why I'm in here unless I come out and like kind of say the truth, which could be a little fucking weird. But I mean, they already think I'm probably weird. So what's the difference now? Now they'll just think I'm a crazy white boy, and they'll probably be like, just let them fucking leave him alone.
Yeah.
So I was like, well, I said, I saw your sign and it says, District 93. And then I put out my arm and showed him my unicrystal hexagram. And I showed him that. And they're like, oh, 93, brother.
Oh, they recognized it.
Yeah. And I was like, oh, shit. Okay. I was like, all right. I was like, 93.
This is called District 93?
Yeah. And then I was like, just wondering. I forgot what I said, dude. It was so weird. And then I was like, all right. And I turned around.
Yeah, he caught you off guard, huh?
Yeah, I was like, I don't know where to go from this now. I wasn't thinking this far.
Is this the establishment you're referring to?
Yeah.
Oh, it's in the U Street corridor. Okay, I know where it's at. Right by Ben's Chili.
It was in like a decent area that I thought.
Well, it's gotten a lot better. Back when I lived there, it was okay. Very stabby. You didn't want to go there after 9 o'clock at night. I had a couple weird encounters in that region.
I think I was in that area because I went to I got like coffee somewhere. And it happened to take me over.
Ben's Chili Bowl's a pretty infamous kind of local establishment, there. It's if you're in the area to go get creeped out at District 93, check out some Ben's Chili Bowl. This is not a paid advertisement, but so what I was thinking with this situation was this is a very occult looking sign, right? You know what I mean?
Could be, yeah.
Moon and the stars.
So
Moon and Venus.
this was a sign that was put up by Alephantis, right? So I played in a beer pong tournament here circa October of 2006. And it was right before he bought the place. And they had a different sign.
Ugh.
So when he did take ownership of this place, I think it was in 2007 March. He did put up the sign. So, and it does seem to have, I don't know. Again, I don't know what the meaning of this would be, but the way I view it, my very rudimentary understanding of the occult is this is like a, hey guys, if you want to come do Thelema business, maybe you come over here kind of sign, right? I don't know. And I'm saying Thelema because the Podesta brothers that he's so intertwined with are clearly Thelemites, right? By their own admission in writings and statements.
Oh yeah, I would think they have an affinity for Thelema.
Well, the Podesta email releases that made this situation
infamous. Favor or some shit, right?
Yeah, Thelemic favor, exactly. Yes, sir. So you can only ask that question if you understand the context of that. That Thelemic favor was a meeting with Barack Obama one-on-one because Podesta was the senior advisor to Obama, like he was the senior advisor to Clinton. Right. He was senior advisor to Hillary Clinton, one of the top advisors behind the scenes to Biden. You want to talk about dark Sith lords? You're talking John Podesta, friend.
John Podesta, Sith lord.
So if this was like I thought maybe this was some sort of like, hey, we'll put up this again, these symbols might mean something within their faction of the whatever cult they're part of. But the Podestas did a lot of activities here. Birthday parties, meetings, Democratic fundraisers, all went down inside this pizza shop, courtesy of John and Tony Podesta.
Oh, you ever see those pictures of Tucker in there with people?
Did you ever see Jake Tapper from CNN call this his favorite fucking place, his favorite family restaurant?
I know somebody has said that. I just
pizza.
His favorite. You said that.
His favorite date night restaurant with his wife when they don't have the kids, Buck's Camping and Fishing or Hunting and Fishing next door, which shares the wall here with Comet and is owned by Alephantis. And when everyone claims that Comet Pizza didn't have a basement, well, that's because it does. But the access to the basement, you have to go through the neighboring restaurant, Buck's Hunting and Fishing, that's owned by Alephantis, has access to the basement that goes underneath the Comet Pizza side, and that's where you see that one Sex Stains band playing the music down there, and that one video that has long been memory hold, right?
Damn, should have checked that out. Could have went next door.
Yeah, dude. He owns that spot too. Yeah, one of the top 50 most powerful men in DC, according to some dumbass's survey. What are your thoughts on this being some sort of Thelemic meeting house?
It could be a meeting house for all sorts of stuff, but yeah, it could be that. I do think it's definitely a spot where people probably go and talk about things that they don't want other people listening about.
Do you suspect that's what these symbols are on there for?
I don't know about that, actually.
Or is it simply because they chose the name Comet?
Yeah. If anything,
what's the occult meaning of the name Comet?
I don't know. I could look up, see what it matches.
Does that mean anything to you?
The star and the crescent, unfortunately, I would probably think more of a Shriner-esque.
Yeah, okay. What do you got there? What are you thinking there?
I don't know. But the one weird thing is that wow, that's weird that I did bring that up. It could mean nothing, but we did show on the Occult Rejects once. It might only be on BitChute. I don't know if we were covering this place or something, or Quetzalcoatl somehow. We might have been, no, I'm sorry, the Shriners. Might have been the Shriners, or it could have been when we were talking about Alephantis. We did show like part of like a music video that was filmed in there, and there was somebody constantly like with a Shriner hat on or was on a table. We were pointing that out, that we thought it was interesting how Shriner Hat kept popping up in like a music video that was done inside that place. Now, again, that's another band. Maybe it's not so much associated with that, but I just found it weird. You know what I'm saying? Like, was that a Shriner band that was playing inside that place when they filmed the video?
I mean, that's probably a thing, though, right?
Then what I'm getting at is like, well, why is that? Like, is that because you're part of the club? You know them?
That's what I'm saying. That's why they're getting hired, right? Because they're part of the club, right? That's why Tom DeLonge puts the Masonic logo on his guitar, right?
See,
same idea, though, right?
What I would know, another way I would even say I think Podesta has Thelema connections is going through Lavenda. Is because Lavenda, I gotta get this thing. I gotta get it and like save this link somewhere. So every time I bring it up, I can like drop it in the chat or whatever.
Right.
But there is a video where it was like something almost like the History Channel doing some like covering secret societies, and they get to like the OTO, and they had James Wasserman was like letting them come in and like watch
James Wasserman, yeah,
Invocation of Horus or was Israfel, but they said it was Horus. Something. They were doing something there. And they show everybody, I think it might have been, I can't remember I can't remember the exact lodge, but it was like specific people from a lodge. And you could see them walking in, because I've even seen them on their own lodge YouTube channel, same fucking people. Walking in, and like within that line of people, fucking Peter Lavenda walks right by. And like, oh wow, look at that, Peter Lavenda, just fucking out of nowhere, 2-second cameo appearance in this OTO event. Like, what are you doing there, guy?
Yeah, Wasserman was a major figure in the OTO, huh?
Yeah, he started the lodge that I went to.
Oh, interesting. Yeah, Podesta and Lavenda go back to the late 70s together. It's my understanding that
Troll motherfuckers used to take pictures of his handgun on his nightstand and just post it on social media. It would trigger.
Wasserman?
Yeah, it would trigger the fuck out of Thelemites.
Interesting.
Oh, he was near the end. He was trolling motherfuckers.
He died November 2020. Did the cough get him?
I don't remember. It might have been cancer. I can't remember.
Cough.
No, I don't think it was that. No. Nope.
So, yeah, I think my understanding is Lavenda and Podesta both worked at the same computer software company that Lavenda was working for when he infiltrated that Nazi encampment in Chile, Colonio Dignidad. Right? Is that the name of the place? Colony of Dignity. It was a Nazi operation there where they're running kill squads out of there. And Lavenda's like 20-year-old. He's like, oh, I just wandered in the place. What are you talking about?
Fuck, you just went back. Yeah, I was going to ask you to go back, but you don't have to. I just saw it on the screen. Real quick. Even with Wasserman, he worked for Wiser Books. Who do you think was pumping out fucking Lavenda's crap as Simon in Necronomicon?
Right.
It was Wasserman for him.
I saw that Wiser Books.
It's all Thelema.
I didn't realize that's okay. That's who did the Necronomicon, huh?
Yep.
It was worked for them, man. He had Lavenda. He pumped Lavenda's shit out through that fucking book company, man.
The plot thickens.
Yeah, man.
This Lavenda guy, I tell you, the plot thickens.
I mean, listen, he
wandered into this fucking Augusto Pinocchio. Oh, go ahead, Nick. I'm sorry. What were you saying?
I said he has put out, I think, in the past some good work, but unfortunately, I'm just saying, like, he's connected with these people.
Oh, sure. I like some of his work. Don't get me wrong. Take it with a grain of salt. You know what I mean? When he blames the entire Sinister Forces series on the Republicans, you gotta be like, what the fuck did you just do to me, here, buddy? You took a fucking Shyamalan twist of all Shyamalan twists on me, buddy.
Yeah, he even put himself in the story too.
Have you all read that one? Volume 1 and Volume 2 were fantastic, and then you get to Volume 3, and suddenly the Republicans did. I'm like, wait a second here, bud.
Right.
What did you just do? What kind of mind fuck is this? And don't get me wrong, I'm not a Republican or Democrat. In fact, I've never voted. Well, I voted one time under duress. Legally speaking, you shouldn't have to do that. But when I say under duress, it was I was using an excuse to go voting to get out of my entire unit got popped for a piss test when I was on active duty, and they were making us doing some asinine shit. They woke me up in the middle of the night, made me come in, sit in a conference room with 150, 200 people, and I'm like, what is going on around here? And I'm like, I'm not doing this. So, and I told my lieutenant, I'm like, I gotta get the fuck out of here, buddy. He's like, you're not leaving anywhere until everyone pisses in this room. I'm like, I don't know what's going on in life, but I'm not living by these rules. It's voting day, friend. I'm an American. I got to go vote. So I voted in the 2004 election for George Bush, but that was again under duress because he said, if you don't bring me back a receipt that you voted, he's like, you're going to be in a lot of fucking trouble. I'm like, all right, buddy, let's take it down some notches.
Under duress.
Under duress, dude. He was serious, dude. This dude had so much beef with me, dude. He essentially threw in his career about 6 months after this incident in a beef with me where he overstepped some boundaries and got real physically violent with me on duty one night. So, which I obviously responded in kind, and somehow he got the bulk of the he got thrown out of the military. I mean, he was he just made captain. They're like, oh, you're out of here, buddy. So. But so he was real serious. What I'm getting at is, he was real serious, man. I took him for his word. He was serious when he said that I better bring him a fucking receipt. I'm like, all right, dude, let's take it down some notches. I'll bring you a receipt. I'm just not sitting in the same room anymore. But so it's not a political thing for me with Lavenda, but he hucklebucks you, dude. Have you read Sinister Forces, BT?
Oh yeah.
Did you feel hucklebucked?
I didn't get to the third one yet, but now I have to.
Well, spoiler alert, you're going to get hucklebucked.
M. Night Shyamalan. Okay.
Yep. I really enjoyed his Mormon book was good too. I really enjoyed his work, but come on, man. Republicans did.
See, you know what? Even for me, I think I am very intrigued as an occultist by cults and certain things like that.
Right.
And I think when I do want to cover something and get involved in something, I do a decent job, not a half-ass job. So again, like him, sure. Certain things I see some people that I do question. They are very much into the same stuff that I and other occultists would be into researching.
Right.
Yep.
So, right. Back to the video.
Or would be easy stuff to present and talk about. You know what I'm saying? It's hard to explain. That easy.
Well,
different.
Well, gentlemen, I appreciate your time. I feel like we should probably bring this to a close. Can I turn it over to BT first here, Nick, for some closing comments, statements, or any plugs you got there, sir? BT, would appreciate you joining us tonight for Fridays.
Yeah, thank you for coming. Let me come back on the Fridays and chatting it up with you guys. It's a good way to spend a Friday evening.
I agree, sir. Appreciate your time and conversation for sure.
Thank you.
What's on the horizon for you again? Any additional commentary or plugs for you on the Truth and Shadow podcast? I got your links in the description already for you.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I dropped episode 53 into the comments here. That's the one where we talk about Baphomet with Dr. Etherlyn.
Nice.
So it was a good episode, so people can listen to that and listen to what's going on there and stuff coming up in the future. Yeah, I'm working on a couple of episodes that'll be dropping. I am a Catholic, so I do drop every once in a while I interview Catholics, so I do drop stuff that we're talking about over there. And occasionally I drop stuff that are conspiracy related. I'm kind of all over the board a little bit at the moment. So I've got some great stuff coming.
Do you do cryptids over there? I don't recall. Do you doing a lot of cryptid stuff over there? You don't. Really
I've done an episode about Bigfoot with a guy.
Okay, you've done one? Okay.
I have done one. Yeah, I haven't talked to many other people about him. I am trying to find some. There's a local author here in Oregon that I do want to talk to.
Nick and I were going to have a future Bigfoot conversation. If you're a pro Bigfooter, you may want to join us in that because I'm an anti Bigfooter myself. I think it's all psychological operation by the CIA, and I have what I consider a strong circumstantial argument to make behind it.
So we call it Bigfoot, not big feet. I mean,
you talking about big feet?
Is he just got one big foot, or is he like? Are we talking about something else that's big? I don't understand.
I don't know. I hope he's got more than one eye. He's a Cyclops Bigfoot. He'd be in a lot of trouble.
Yeah, right.
1 foot, 1 eye, dude.
One-eyed, one-horned, purple people eater.
Get him on some disability, dude. Joe Biden approved disabilities.
He's been on Social Security.
You were on the show last night, man. You could have been some opposition for that Bigfoot talk.
Me?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I'm not a big Bigfooter. I'm not very much.
I do find that I don't know.
I don't know. Here in Oregon, it seems Bigfoot's the state cryptid. But you know, people have Mothman and.
I was going to ask, where's Mothman for that? That's like a cryptid for that area. Where is
No,
that?
it's not over here. No, that's
west. That's west by God, Virginia, friend.
Yeah, West Virginia.
Oh yeah, no, that's what I'm saying. Where was that? I know that's like a
Point Pleasant.
Point Pleasant, West Virginia.
That was the whole excuse for that Hellier bullshit psyop thing too. Right?
Yeah, good call. That's a psyop. It's a long.
You know how you know, because a guy from the OTO is in it. Alan Greenfield.
Oh, dude, Alan Greensburg or whatever his name is.
Greenfield, yeah. And then after that is when all the balloons start showing up and they say,
typical.
And Pan. They keep going on about Pan at the end. Crowley was big
typical.
On Pan and his NOx.
And they match it together with Andrew Cole and UFOs too, right? And little green goblins, little fucking green goblins, man.
Like so many people I know with the OTO watched that shit during COVID.
Oh, dude. Those folks are from Cincinnati, dude. The Hellier people, they run some sort of paranormal traveling roadshow, but I believe they operate all their operations out of Cincinnati. Wonder if they bought a place on a mound. That's interesting now that I think about it. I know they're on the west side. That is more mound heavy over there. Near Harrison, Ohio. Like William Henry Harrison. He's buried on a mound there. Society of Cincinnati guy. Well, BT, maybe we'll talk some Bigfoots in the future. I appreciate your time, sir, and the discussions as always. I know I enjoyed my last conversation with you on Truth and Shadow.
Yeah.
Talking about the process. Good times.
Right. Yeah, it was a big episode, lots of downloads.
Nice Bigfoot episode, if you will. Bigfoot.
Big feet.
Nick, sir, I appreciate your time as always here on a Friday. As always, look forward to it, sir.
Oh, yeah, that was a good one. Good stuff.
What do you got working on over? I know we got a Tuesday Weld conversation with Julia Cosmic Peach coming up on Monday, right?
Oh, that's this Monday? Awesome. For some reason I was thinking
it's his show.
Shit, okay. I have it written down, so that wasn't a problem.
Yeah, technically Julia and I are the ones that booked it. We're as the Occult Rejects.
Well, it's fun to include me. It was nice.
It spawned from a conversation you had us on with the Occult Rejects last week on the Occult Elvis, which I highly recommend folks check that out. That was a fucking awesome conversation.
It's an Operation GCD / Occult Rejects show.
It's a mashup.
Yeah. We got that. You know what we got dropping this weekend for the people that are listening now that haven't jumped off. Me and JJ were on Strange Sauna / Pardon My American kind of podcast. We got that. I'm dropping that audio on only audio though. It's not going to be on video. It'll be the audio for that tomorrow. And then we do have you were there for the Epic of Esau with Prometheus Lens.
Oh yeah, that was a great conversation.
That was biblical Bigfoot.
Yeah. We saw Justin in the chat tonight earlier. Yep, sure. That was a great conversation.
More Bigfoot there again. So yeah.
I like his. He brings some new Bigfoot stuff to the table. At least whether or not Bigfoot is real or not, he brings a more mystical understanding of it. Which I'm more inclined to believe that than I am flesh and blood Bigfoot stuff.
He definitely was onto something. He had made shit he was talking about and the things he was bringing up.
I like his ideas on that.
Yeah,
again, it can be both, right? It's not mutually exclusive.
Yeah. Right? Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
There could be vampire killers in the Philippines, and also, your boy Lansdale,
Edward Lansdale.
Yeah, you did some deep dives into Lansdale stuff. There could be actual vampires murking folks over there, and there was also Lansdale making the villagers think it was vampires murking folks.
Right.
It could be both.
Word on the street is that a vampire is what got Lansdale. Actually,
is that what got him?
Yeah.
Where was Wesley Snipes when this happened?
He was down at the alien cargo call hanging out.
Dude, but they were murking folks down there on that mound. Remember, we did a show on that.
Good shot, dude. All right. Thank you very much for a good show tonight, man, guys. I had a great time.
I appreciate it. And I appreciate the folks of the interwebs as always. Operation GCD live on Wednesdays and then back again next Fridays here with Nick. But Wednesdays I got Jonathan Mitchell coming back on, Talking Process Church, Son of Sam, Westchester County business, New York City, cult activity related to the Berkowitz situations. And also the following week, Operation GCD Live Wednesday, we're going to be talking an occult and or esoteric review of the 1986 cinematic classic, The Golden Child, starring Eddie Murphy. And that creepy ginger fella, dude. I don't know if that guy's acted in anything else since then. Now that I think about it, I can picture him in one other film. That is one of the creepiest looking dudes they've ever cast. Like, super creepy looking dude. And he's ginger, so you know he's got no soul. I'm half ginger, so I got half.
About the bad guy, right?
Yeah, you know I'm talking about this, the devil, dude. The demon fella. The demon fella.
Yeah.
Dude,
you're right. He's
creepy, dude. He's creepy, dude. And they got Victor Wong in there, dude. Victor Wonging it up, dude. He killed it in The Golden Child, and he killed it the same year, dude. He won that year, dude, in Hollywood for at least for Asian actors over the age of 60. He starred also in Big Trouble Little China, which we did an occult esoteric review of that with Jen the Ninja, who will also be joining us for the Golden Child review. So recommend folks check that out for sure. And if you gents don't have any other comments, we'll end it there.
I'm good, thank you.
Well, that's it. That's the show here, folks. So the next time you're out on the town, visiting your local watering holes, or perhaps just meandering around, and you hear the unmistakable sounds of metal clanking, and you spot signs of a disturbance, well, check your six. Look in that garbage can, 'cause you never can tell. The GCDs may be loose in your town.